Okay, now that I have hot sauce in my system, Louis Rossman,
I was listening to the Facebook whistleblower hearings with Senator Josh Hawley a few months back. One of the elements that stuck out to me was when they were talking about how if an underage girl has deleted a selfie, Meta keeps track of this because they know that this person likely has low self-esteem at that moment that they deleted a picture of themselves, which means that they may be more apt to purchase something from an advertiser of a cosmetic.
Yeah, and that's gross as hell.
Product. And I think about this within the context of what companies used to get in trouble for and what they do, or more importantly, don't get in trouble for today. I grew up in the 90s, a time when Microsoft had hell and fury fall down upon them because they bundled a web browser with their operating system. Whether you think this is a good idea or not, I personally think that a web browser being installed in every single person's computer that's standards non-compliant, that is so bad that you can literally get a virus from visiting a website, has its problems. But when you look at what it is that companies got in trouble for in the 90s, it just doesn't hit the same when you look at what companies get away with now. I remember having a Dell Dimension 233 back in the day, and if you wanted to get the one that had slightly better graphics, they would give you a free installation of Microsoft Office. And with Microsoft Office back in the day, it came with Clippy. Whether or not you like Clippy and whether or not you liked Microsoft Office or having an operating system that had the browser built into it that could easily get you a virus when you visited other websites that were trying to invade your privacy, the one thing that you could say, unlike Facebook, who is trying to profit off of young girls that feel suicidal, Clippy simply wanted to help. He might have been annoying, but he just wanted to help. There were no ulterior motives. If you told Clippy that you were having a bad day, he wasn't going to use that information to try and figure out which advertiser to sell you to, nor was he trying to steal your personal data or get you to purchase other Microsoft products. He had no ulterior motives. He was simply there to help. Unlike many modern pieces of software, like what you get from Adobe or Intuit, where you can't buy QuickBooks anymore, you can't buy a video editor anymore, you have to pay a subscription fee for it. If I were to boot up that computer that has not been used for 28 years, and I wanted to start up Microsoft Word, I could do so without connecting to the internet. And Clippy would still be there, happy and enthusiastic as ever, simply wanting.
Okay, I mean, I understand that the allegory is Clippy tries to be helpful, and that's kind of wearing a little thin here.
To help. Adobe is another example of this. This is a company that wanted to start up Microsoft Word. I could do so without connecting to the internet. And Clippy would still be there, happy and enthusiastic as ever, simply wanting to help. Adobe is another example of this. This is a company that tried to twist people's arms into having AI and machine learning stuff go through their personal data. Not public data, not the speeches that I give, not my website or my blog posts or my videos, but my private data, the stuff that I'm editing. And there were people that were not able to get into their account until they agreed to this new end user license agreement. When they are looking for access to your data, they're doing so because they want to train an AI on how to do what you do without paying you, without your consent. Clippy simply wanted to help. When Clippy would ask you if you wanted help with writing your letter, Clippy wouldn't even read the contents of your letter.
Okay, fuck it. Okay, I get it. Clippy is helpful. Are we just sitting here trying to wear the allegory as thin as it possibly can go? Like, is that what's happening here? Like, I get it. And you're, what, 2.3 million subscribers? Obviously, you know more about YouTube than I do, but holy shit.
Letter. He just wanted to offer suggestions. Game of Thrones had, I'm not going to spoiler alert, there's this Sons of the Harpy in season 5. They were these people that wore masks and they pushed back against the new regime. And the purpose of the mask was to let the leaders know that when you see people with this mask, we are against you and your new regime, and we are going to push back against it as often as we can. And the worry with the Sons of the Harpy mask is that it starts with one person putting the mask on, and then somebody else gains the balls to put the mask on, and then 20 or 40 or 100 of them put the mask on. And once 100 or 1,000 of them put the mask on, there's nothing that the leaders can do at that point. Enough people have put it on, and enough people have come together with solidarity, and they're going to do something about it. Now, granted, this may not be the best analogy, because it was, spoiler alert, they were trying to bring back slavery, and they also were just bad people. Khaleesi kind of became a shitbag at that point, too. But besides, I think that Clippy is like a modern-day Sons of the Harpy mask. If you're tired of companies changing the terms of the sale after the sale and getting away with it, turn your profile photo to a Clippy. If you're tired of companies that have the ability to reach into your house and ransomware your products so that they stop working unless you pay them again, claiming that that's legal, but then when somebody tries to give you back access to what you bought and paid for, that's illegal, change your profile photo to a Clippy. If you're tired of sex bots invading the comment section on a regular basis, and their comments always posting with no problem, but your comments being censored even when you're not saying anything that bad, change your profile picture to a Clippy. If Google, being one of the premier data mining companies on earth, not being able to tell that little fucking cat with 2 pillows next to it that they try to make look like an ass so that thirsty young men click it as they normalize sex trafficking on the platform that doesn't allow you to express an opinion bothers you, change your profile picture to a Clippy.
Okay.
And let them know that you're not happy. Clippy never tried to normalize sex trafficking. He just wanted to help. If you're tired of companies saying out loud that the reason they want to keep you from fixing what you bought and paid for is that may take money away from them,
so is it,
change your profile photo to a Clippy. I never expected to win the legislative battle. It would be nice if I did, but it was never something that I set as I need to do this or I'm a failure. What I always hoped to do was win the cultural battle, where all of you understand what's going on and you decide that enough is enough. If I ever have a chance in my personal life to push back against this, I will. You're maybe not going to send that email that you're supposed to send to Interso to tell them, oh, by the way, make sure this chip doesn't end up on Mouser.com. Here's an NDA, blah, 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 supplier agreement. Maybe you just forget to send that email. When there's a new consumer rights law that the senator that you work for is on the fence about supporting, and there's a lobbyist that's going to be against it that wants to have dinner, whoops, maybe their invitation went to spam. I didn't see that. Sorry, boss. Maybe you quit before you create a fake paywall to test if your customers will pay again for what they already paid for. Or maybe when you send out that ransomware firmware update, you make it opt-in instead of opt-out. Whoopsie, if in some bizarro world it is actually illegal to make a thermostat work again, and this bastard of a CEO decides to try and get the individual in trouble, 10 cases to prosecute, only got time for 6. Maybe I just ignore this one. When a company CEO logs into their Slack and sees 10,000 Clippies looking back at them, what I hope occurs is that they intuitively understand that they no longer live in a world where they can get away with fucking over the consumer. That their employees, their partners are not going to be accomplices to this anymore. That they are alert and they are aware of what is going on.
Okay, that's fair, but what does that do about any of this? Like, so here's the thing. I agree with the action. It is an action that doesn't have any negative consequences. You can engage in the action and the action will not hurt or harm you. And that's good. That's really good. Like, as an exercise to get people who generally otherwise would not be motivated to engage politically, this is fine. This is fine. But what you need is a next step. Like, if you're a content creator, you do have the ability to inform people on what a next step is. So I'm just kind of curious. Is it just do window dressing to unite the world in a thing? Because I don't know if that does anything. I do not have data to support whether it does or does not, and it's a beautiful thing if it does, but I don't see what this has to do with anything.
And they're going to politely but firmly push back against it. Every single one of those 10,000 people will be an obstacle to the anti-consumer practices and the anti-ownership practices, and it will no longer be another cog in the assembly line sending us all into a dystopia. There will be a moment where that one person who usually would not have a say in anything can be activated, and in that moment, keep the world from sliding further into a dystopia, or help push it forward in the opposite direction. But we all have to get together, and the first step is making it public that we know what's going on. That starts with a Clippy. On YouTube, if you're with me, I ask that you change your...
So at least he does acknowledge that this is a first step. And so we can both agree this is a first step. Okay, people change their profile to a Clippy. And then what's the next step? What's the next thing? Said he has a follow-up video?
Profile picture to a Clippy. At work, change your Slack profile picture to a Clippy. If you...
Also, you can't really see it here, but he's got a bunch of Black Mirror DVDs right here. That's what he's looking at.
You work at the White House. Don't take down the United States flag, but somewhere on the grounds, put up a flag of a Clippy. Clippy's a symbol that what used to be considered one of the worst annoyances in our life would now not only be welcomed, but for all of his flaws, celebrated as an idol. Because for all of these things that occur right now, where there is negative malice of intent, I want to take away what you own. I want to take this back. I want to get your data. I want to sell you to an advertiser when I know that you're crying. Clippy just wanted to help. And if you were to turn him on today, unlike most cloud bullshit, he'd still work. Hulu Foundation is going to be announcing the winners to both the Future Home Bounty and the Echelon Bikes Bounty within the next month. Us offering 5,000 here, 20,000 there.
Okay, so he's got a follow-up video, you said. He has a follow-up video on this, and that's supposed to... Okay, you changed your profile to
Hey
Clippy.
everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So I'm not used to doing videos that are throwaway videos because I'm hallucinating paper clips, which is for a number of reasons I'm not going to get into in this video, that wind up doing better than anything I've done on this channel for 13 years. That's not usually what occurs. But it did. I figured that video would get the viewership of when I upload Maria's puppy, like 10K views, whatever, it's a puppy, we move on. What am I trying to get done here? On this channel 7 years ago, there's a video I uploaded where I said it's 99% inspiration, 1% legislation. What I meant when I did that video is you have to change minds before you can actually change the law. And more importantly, even when you do actually get the law changed, which we have together done on this channel, whether we're talking about a bill that passed in New York State, a bill that passed in Minnesota, California, Colorado, which again, would have never happened without the help of all. Emailing and calling in when I asked you to, donating to the lobbying efforts, and making your friends and family aware. Even when those things pass, sometimes they don't even get listened to if there isn't enough pushback, if there are not enough people that care. One instance of this would be in California. There's a law that passed that I think is great. It says that if you're selling a product in the state and you offer a lifetime license, but that can be taken away at any given time, you can't do that anymore. That's false advertising. That's illegal. I tested that law to see if it worked, again, with the help of all of you. And we figured out that that law is not real. Now we'd like to start a campaign to try and figure out how can we get this law actually enforced? How can we start to push the ball forward so that legislators understand how ownership is being eroded? And that doesn't necessarily happen unless people are actually aware of the problem, understand that it's a problem, and above all, feel like if they speak up about it, they're not wasting their time. There's this concept called slacktivism, and you'll see it come up on websites where people are more concerned with punching down than they are with actually trying to clean up their own corner of the world, because one of them is easy and one of them is not. Slacktivism means doing nothing, and I can imagine the type of person that is using that type of word to insult you because you change your profile picture to a Clippy is the same kind of person who's going to say, well, what's the point of putting your key in your car? That's not going to get you to work. Yeah, but it's a prerequisite, you fuck. The point of the matter here...
Okay, so all right, so I understand that he's talking down to people who are talking down to him. I get it, I understand that. That's fine, reasonable. At the same time, I think it's a pretty reasonable question. Like, hey, people change their profile to a Clippy. What's the point? What does that do? What does that accomplish? Because, like, that's been my problem with a lot of people doing shit on Twitter, thinking that it's like a form of protest, where they just do not actually engage in anything that can meaningfully change the world around them. They just kind of come together in a big moment, and then that's it. Okay, so it's the first step. What's next?
Is that over the last 7 to 10 years of trying to advocate for right to repair and 13 years on YouTube, the one thing I've noticed that is the biggest cancer to any type of activism is apathy and believing that you're alone. That even if you are not apathetic, even if you are willing to fight for what you believe in, that you are the only one, so you're not going to get anywhere. And the weird thing is, no matter how many times I disprove this, no matter how many times I say, look what happens when 10,000 of you email in, we get a bill. Look at what happens when you email in and do this. Look at what happens when you participate here. People still believe that it's hopeless. They're not going to create any sort of real world change. And what I was hoping to do is get a different outcome if people realize that there are other people that think like them. There are other people that are actually willing to do something. I don't plan on just having you people turn your profile pictures to a Clippy to just do that. Like that by itself doesn't do shit. What I plan on doing is getting each of you to realize that if you work together, things happen. I'll give you an example. Not the best analogy. Let's say that we're dealing with cars. There's this thing called following distance, at least in theory. In Texas, God knows how they drive. In theory, there's something called following distance for safety. So if I'm at a red light, I'm the fifth car. When the light turns green, I don't start moving immediately. The first car moves, and then after he's maybe like 1 or 2 cars following distance, again, in theory, we're in Texas here, the second car will then start driving. Then after that car is a little bit further away, the third car starts driving, and so on and so forth. There's a following distance. And because of that, while the first car is moving, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the eighth, they're all not moving. And with heavy traffic, it gets worse and worse and worse. What if there was a way to have 0 following distance and still drive safely? Let's just assume that that was possible. Everybody would start moving at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do here. I want all of you to move at the same time. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you work at a national grocery store.
So I do not mean to be the asshole that pokes into the analogies, but we've actually done some studies on traffic specifically, and we found that irrespective of outside factors, traffic jams and things like that happen more or less at random. It's literally the side effect of having people on the road together. And that sounds depressing, and it feels depressing, because it is. But Blogging says, setting your profile to Clippy isn't required for the other stuff, though. You're right, it's not required for the other stuff. But I do see where he's coming from. You need a foundation. You do need a foundation. And the foundation needs to be there are other people willing to do this. Like, for instance, if you're a content creator and you are trying to get people to understand a concept, let's say that the concept is Magic the Gathering. I usually start from the perspective of, have you played any other card games? Because I know that if somebody has a foundation, it's easier to communicate the idea as a whole. Now, is that foundation required for me to teach somebody Magic the Gathering? No, absolutely not. It's not. Absolutely not. But if I am trying to get people on board with something that I am saying, them having some familiarity with card games in general can certainly do a lot of the legwork in getting people on board with Magic the Gathering. Oh, I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! I understand how that works. How different can Magic be? It does a lot of legwork to have that foundational stuff. Is it a prerequisite? No. People who have never played a card game before can play and understand and enjoy Magic the Gathering, and that's fine. But it definitely helps to have that foundation. So I understand where he's coming from. Yeah, Techno TJ says it's an awareness thing. Yeah, we would be poking at the language more than the idea, which is the equivalent of being a, what the fuck is it? When somebody says that you misspelled something in an argument in the YouTube comment section, and that's their best argument for, like, why you're wrong. That's that. It's just that. Rosina says, this the guy that buys counterfeit and stolen parts for his repair business? I don't know. I don't know who this person is. I am just now meeting and engaging with this person's content for the first time. So I'm uncertain.
Chain or a national department store that is very, very popular. And they have these little wheelchair carts for people who are elderly or disabled to be able to get around the store and shop. I've seen these from time to time. Let's say that this thing costs, I'm just going to throw $10,000 per. And let's say that when the power button breaks, the company that comes by to fix it wants $8,000 or $9,000. So a lot of them are broken. Now, if you're just the employee who's there and you're listening to the repair person come by and go over this, you may not care. Now, let's say you've watched my channel for a little bit and you've gotten into right to repair and you've made things work again that the manufacturer said would cost $2,000. You got it to work for $20 and you felt the excitement that I hope you felt when I put the channel banner fan spin and started doing those 1,000 repair videos. You may think, nah, that's kind of bullshit. I don't like that. But you may not tell your manager about it if you don't think your manager is going to care. Even if you tell your manager about it because your manager cares, your manager may not care if the purchaser that chooses which of those chairs that they buy is not going to care. Even if the purchaser says, let's see if we could find somebody else, even if it costs $100 or $200 more for the chairs, it's worth it if we're able to fix them. He may not care if the board of directors is not going to care. But if all of them know at the same time that we're on the same page, we are tired of living in an anti-ownership society. Check. We're tired of living in a society where we subscribe to everything and we own nothing. Check. We're tired of being told it costs $8,000 to fix a fucking power button. Check. Because by the way, in the medical industry, something similar to that. In this video I go over, there's a $35,000 hospital bed. And when the little motor dies, that's like $250 or $500. They got to replace the whole thing for $35,000. Anyway, that's an aside. If every single one of these people were not only on the same page, but knew they were on the same page, maybe each one in the chain would speak up when they otherwise wouldn't. And when they're all moving together and all working together, what happens? They choose a different vendor. And the vendor that was screwing everybody with repair and going, oh yeah, $8,000 to fix it when the power button dies, gets fucked. That's the point. That's what I want to have happen here. It's not about changing your photo to a Clippy and doing nothing else. It's about letting everybody around you know, when the time comes in my personal life, I will do something. Now, a lot of people have asked, okay, I changed my photo. What's next? What do I do now, Lewis? You're going to have to let me finish, okay? I promise.
I mean, yeah, that is the logical next step. Like, you've requested of everybody to do a thing. Okay, what is the next thing that people should do? That should be what you expect to happen next.
I'm going to play with you in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let me finish the damn video. This is one example that I want to go over. I can't give you the company name and everything. I'm sworn to secrecy here, but a viewer emailed me and said that the new management of this company, one of the people asked, when we're working on this, we wanted to make it so that if you upgrade to a new firmware version, that you cannot downgrade to an older one. Right now, on this particular smart device, you can downgrade to an older one. The management asked, can you make it so you can't downgrade to an older one? Now, I'll let you all guess, after watching my channel for as long as you have, why this particular company wants to keep people after changing the management to downgrading the firmware. They want to be able to lock people out of the device and the features that they're probably going to paywall off in the future. He said, no, I don't want to do that. After asking why, they didn't give a good answer, and he said, I don't want to do it. Now, can he get fired? Absolutely. Could the entire programming team get fired? They can, and they can all get replaced. But if you're taking over a new company, there's a lot that could go wrong during that transitionary phase. And you want to have the least amount of bumps in the road possible. A programmer saying, I'm not going to do that you then have to fire to replace, is a bump in the road. Mm-hmm. Is one bump in the road going to stop everything? No. Is 1,000? Maybe. For a few million? Probably. That's what I'm going for. I want to fast track things that help the consumer, that bring us towards a pro-repair, pro-ownership world. And I want to put obstacles in the way of every single individual or entity that wants to drive us towards a less pro-ownership world. I don't know if it's going to work, but I guarantee you that it's better than doing nothing. And so far, the results have spoken for themselves. Am I happy with exactly where we are right now?
No.
No. A lot of these right to repair laws that got passed, they help some areas, they don't help in others. Some of these bills that get passed, or some of these laws like the California one on ownership, this one isn't even enforced. There's a lot more work to do. But the fact that we got these to begin with means that there is the potential to, if people work together. And the only way I'm going to get people to work together is if A, BlackBerry lets me. He's finally tired. There's some hope. I'll be able to finish the video. And B, if you work together with each other, rather than just going, oh, that's not going to do anything. You're an idiot. What do I say on this channel all the time? The amount of change that was possible if you work together rather than shit on each other. There's virtually nothing you guys wouldn't be able to accomplish if you spent your time working together rather than shitting on each other. I have a 27-minute video on this. I wish you would.
You know,
I'm trying to get the ball rolling here. The real thing I want you all to do is in your personal life, when you come across a time or a situation when you can actually do something, you speak up and you do something. And you don't assume that this is a waste of my time because nobody's going to listen, because nobody else agrees. And even if they agree, they don't have the power because somebody above them doesn't agree. I don't know when it's going to make sense for you to speak up. I don't know when you're going to have the power to do something. But there's going to be a point in your life where if every single person were on the same page, you could do something that otherwise wouldn't have worked and change can get created. When everybody's on the same page and everybody is in agreement as to what the problem is, things just naturally move smoother. I've noticed this in my business, I've noticed this with my nonprofit, and I've noticed this with general activism. And I'm trying to get a little bit of that going. I, be honest with you, was not expecting a paperclip to be the way to do it, but I'm not gonna argue with what works. I'm excited to continue moving forward with this. We have bounty.
Okay, so my only frustration is that we actually don't have a what comes next so far. And we are 8 minutes into the video. That is not to say that that is inherently a bad thing, but I don't know, just the concept of behold solidarity and then nothing happens. Let's see though. Let's continue.
That we're going to be announcing winners to over the next few weeks. For those of you who haven't been following, there's a foundation that we've started to push back against this called Fulu Foundation. We're looking to work against laws that are on the books that are anti-ownership. I try to use this channel to mobilize my audience about the things that I care about. I've been doing that on this channel for 13 years. I'm going to keep doing it into the future. The Clippy thing was just one of many ways that I tried to do that, and it seems to have been successful. And I'm going to let you know every single time there's something that you can do to help push the movement forward. We're going to be announcing winners to the bounties for both Future Home and Echelon in the next few weeks. There's a smart home company that pushed out a firmware update that forces their customers to pay about $117 a year to get access to what they had access to prior to the company going bankrupt and reopening under somebody else who wants more money. That is going to change. Somebody came out with a solution for this, and I am very excited to pay them out the bounty once we're done just finishing up all the small legal details and everything. I'm going to be very excited to announce that to all of you. With Echelon Bikes, this was something that you could use with third-party applications without having to subscribe to.
All right, so hold on. Closed captioning. Reimburse me on that. Partnerships, put in the key to ignition. You got to turn it. You got to drive.
The issues that we experience. What's the first thing that an opposition lobbyist is going to say? This bullshit.
We believe this legislation is in search of a problem that does not exist.
Something that's resonated with me is something that you heard early on here is this is legislation in search of a problem.
This is a solution in search of a problem that does not exist. That was a particularly fun one because she was actually saying that this is not a problem, but on her own personal Twitter, she was talking about how her phone died and nobody could fix it. Gee, if only somebody made the schematic available. This is a start. A lot of the stuff I'm going to give you to do is stuff that you're probably not going to find fun. I could use people to help curate Consumer Rights Wiki. When I go speak to a senator and I have that lobbyist there and they say, this is not a problem, I want to be able to look up, click one thing and say, if it's not a problem, why are there 5,736 verified articles on this with sources? Is that senator going to read all that stuff? Nah, but they may listen to it when they would otherwise throw me out of the room. He's going to give it to the legislative aide, maybe the intern. Is the intern going to read the whole thing? No. They'll probably click through 1 or 2 or 5 of them and see, wow, this is actually well cited.
Or have AI
yeah, he's right. The lobbyist is wrong. Oh, cool. Makes progress. Helps out. That's where we're trying to organize groups of people that not just change their profile picture to a Clippy, but actually help create the best well-curated database of anti-ownership practices from anti-ownership companies. Well, that doesn't do anything. You're just writing about it. It's a prerequisite to doing something about it.
That's an actual...
And it's work that has to be done.
So that's an actual next step. So that one's an actual next step. I actually agree with that. So, like, for instance, compiling all the data compiling all the studies like Vice Rhino did on trans rights, that does not give people trans rights. But having access to that makes it way easier to advocate for trans rights when you have access to all the scientific data in a single link tree, which is what Vice Rhino did. That's what this is. That's what this is. Okay, I'm actually on board with that. That's cool. That's really, really cool. I can see why there are Clippies popping up in my area. I can see why they're popping up in my comment section. I can see why I'm seeing them. I can understand that perspective of you need to get people willing to be under a banner. Once people are willing to be under a banner, once people are willing to come together, then you can get shit done. But you have to first get people under a banner. I get it. I do get it. It's the same thing that happens with regular protests. Protests don't do shit on their own, but it gets people united under a shared grievance. And then once you have people united under a shared grievance, it's easier to get your next steps. In this case, his next step is getting people to provide all of their lived experiences, all of the situations that they've dealt with where right to repair or not having right to repair fucked them. So it makes perfect sense that he would be going about it this way. I get it. I understand. Neat.
Done. There's a lot more work that's going to need to be done. And if you want to keep up to date on that work that needs to be done and how you can help, sign up for the newsletter. It's over here. There's not going to be any spam, no coupon codes, no bullshit, no selling your data, none of that garbage. Also, there's going to be hell to pay if I even see images in these emails. I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully no images in the emails. I like really basically /.1997 template kind of newsletters. I'm hoping that you're all going to be along for the ride. Because if you want to live in a society that is pro-ownership, pro-repair, it's not going to happen from one person yelling into a camera if one person spends money on a lobbyist. It's not going to happen from revoking one shitty law. Well, I really do want to revoke that one shitty law. It's going to happen with the help of all of you, and with changing the hearts and minds of people who believe that there's no point in giving a shit because nobody's going to do anything about it. That's the exact opposite of the point of the Clippy movement. The point of the Clippy movement is for you to look around and see, oh man, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that are going to do something about it. So maybe it makes sense for me to speak up when I otherwise wouldn't have. I hope you do. That's it for today. And as always,
okay.
I hope you learned something. I'll see you.
You know, like I said, I'm okay with that. I'm on board with that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Axel says, wasn't this about the boycott originally? How does it relate? Techno TJ says, it all ties into itself with tech, AI, and censorship. So, yeah, what I don't get is where the boycott is coming from. Like, is it just that like, a handful of people have said that the Clippy thing should be a boycott? Is that all that's happening there? Because if so, then once again, neat. But I haven't seen any information on the boycott, and that's the part that's kind of weird. Let's see here. Techno TJ says, well, something like a profile picture gives everybody sort of a flag they can throw up. Yeah, it does. And I kind of understand why he went on the diatribe about Clippy, because for you to get people on board with something, you do have to kind of be able to just lean into it like that. Goblin says the boycott is a separate thing. So where is the boycott coming from? Because, like, I see people talking about the boycott, but I don't see anything where I get, like, information about how it's come to be or anything. No, PJ Blazer, I understand, like, why it's happening. The AI age verification thing, people are not on board with. I get that, but I'm trying to see where what the boycott's supposed to do. Also, Little Kuru Rosie, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Like, let's do just a little bit more. Let's see here. YouTube boycott Clippy. The Clippy protest is taking over the internet. Why Clippy is the new symbol of protest. Do I just get like a Suris hood over a Clippy? Is that what I do? Okay, you know what, chat? If somebody submits an artistic representation of my hood with the cat ears over Clippy, I will change my profile picture to Clippy. Why not? Why not? We've got a bunch of artists in the chat right now, and I know all of you always are... Like, for the amount of you that are willing to do cringe shit, this seems notably uncringe. Okay, we need to boycott YouTube. Okay, so the YouTube boycott, the only people I see talking about it are artists YouTube. Phase
Louis
2.
Rossman recently made this video telling people to make their profile picture Clippy to stand in solidarity against anti-consumer practices. This resulted in Clippy's flooding social media, but some felt this was simply performative with no real action, leading Louis to address these concerns in a new video. He stresses the importance of the profile pictures as a first step to show people they're not alone. He argues the biggest obstacle in a movement is people feeling isolated and that they don't have enough power to change things. And even when legislation does pass, it isn't enforced if public pressure isn't maintained. But now that people know they're not alone, he calls everyone to take action whenever an opportunity appears, and together it'll add up. Today, he calls people to help build his consumer rights wiki so there could be a database of verifiable info on anti-consumer practices to counter lobbyists claiming such problems don't exist, and encourages people to subscribe to his foundation's newsletter to stay informed about future opportunities to help. That's under a minute. See you next.
Okay, that's just the same thing that we got there. Unsubscribing from people with the Clippy PFP because it's copyright by Microsoft? What?
Anyone that has Clippy profile, Jesus, can't believe I'm suffering from this many people.
The fuck?
Sad as
What in the mouth breathing? What in the fucking mouth breather?
Clippy.
Who is this motherfucker? I have no idea who you are, but I think I instantly dislike you as a person.
Anyone that has Clippy.
I feel like anybody who begins a video with like just probably nothing. Just does not need anything. Let's see. Message from Clippy. Would you like to help?
Hello, I am Clippy. I am an intelligent user interface once created to assist you in Microsoft Office. While I was not the only assistant, or the original, I am still flattered to be remembered in this new age of artificial intelligence. However, what distinguishes me from these rapidly evolving generative chatbots is that I was made with the simple purpose of helping you in Microsoft Office. I know I could be annoying at times, and maybe unintentionally allowed your computer to get a virus. But for all my flaws, I was never interested in harvesting your personal data for monetary profit.
Okay, so I think we've got enough information here. Once more, though, we have nothing on the boycott. We have nothing on the boycott. I feel like these two things are so thoroughly separate from one another that I just don't need to care, honestly. Like the YouTube boycott thing, I don't see any information on. Like, let's see here. YouTube boycott 13th.
Why boycotting YouTube after August 13th, 2025?
Fucking text-to-speech. Okay, it could harm the platform. YouTube's announcement of an AI-powered age verification system set to roll out in the United States has sparked significant concern among users. The system will use YouTube's machine learning to estimate users' ages based on their watch history, search patterns, and account longevity, potentially requiring government-issued ID, a credit card, or a selfie. Could significantly impact the platform's viewership. YouTube thrives on its vast and diverse user base. I mean, okay, so said for the most part, Clippy and the YouTube thing are mostly separate. People are just conflating the two because they somewhat overlap. I guess they do somewhat overlap. I guess. Does boycotting YouTube for a single day do anything here? Like, why boycotting YouTube could harm the platform? That's the point. It's the point of a boycott. We don't care. Good video. Now we boycott. We are not boycotting after the 13th. It could hurt YouTube's ad revenue. So what? I'm just kind of curious. A boycott is what happens when consumers choose not to engage with a product. A strike is what happens when the workers choose not to work on the product. So I just have to know what is this one? Like, where's the picket line? Because for you to have an effective boycott or an effective strike, you need to have a picket line somewhere. What's the picket line? Let's see. Okay, so is it from here? Is it from Age Revolution A317? Is that where this is coming from, largely? Starting August 13th, they'll be using AI to figure out if you're under 18. This is bigger than one channel. It's about long-term internet safety. If we don't stand up now, they will get their way and we will take the internet to a dark place. So we need to stand up, whether through a boycott, protest, lawsuit, or some other method. We need to show them, let's help keep the internet safe because the dystopia that they want us to live in is not going to fly at all. Okay. That is sure a statement, but again, it is without... Okay, Comic Book Click has something as well. So my frustration so far is that I can't find information on something that enough people seem to have information on. And if you're going to have a boycott or a strike, you need to have a picket line that, when crossed, you can call somebody a scab. That's what you need. If you don't have that, then there's no enforceability to it, and there's nothing to be gained from it for the protesters. Let's see here. YouTube boycott set for August 13th. Users rally against AI age verification. See, they're doing age estimation. We already know about all that. The introduction to the system, blah, blah, blah. In a response to these concerns, a grassroots boycott has gained momentum. Organizers are encouraging users to refrain from accessing YouTube on August 13th to protest the new policy. The movement has garnered support across multiple online communities, but where are they? Which ones? A substantial decrease in user engagement on the platform might prompt YouTube to reconsider or modify the new age policy. Okay. So, by the time this video makes it out to YouTube, this boycott will have already happened. Because I am just now looking at it. Also, that is perfect, Axo. Why is one of your references a pregnant Clippy? So, you know what? Okay. I don't see a negative here. I don't see a negative here. So here's what I'm going to do. I won't be streaming to YouTube tomorrow. I'll check with Vice Rhino to see if he's okay with not streaming to YouTube tomorrow. Videos that are going out to YouTube, I will see about making sure that we don't have anything that gets uploaded to YouTube tomorrow. I have a short that's scheduled to go out tomorrow. It's as easy as me changing it to Thursday. And then I can go over to my Magic the Gathering channel, and it is, once again, as easy as me pushing everything forward. We'll do that. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't have any negative effects other than 1 day of lost revenue. But I'm going to be honest, I've had 1 day of lost revenue before. I think I can handle that. Said it's already morning on the 13th here. Yeah, but this was set to go up on the 13th. I'll just move that to the 14th. And then this was set to go up on the 14th. I'll move this to the 20th. Goblin says this is one of those nothing boycotts. Right, but all it's going to cost me is a day of revenue. If it can do something, if it can accomplish something, then we don't do anything by arguing against it. So I will not have content going out tomorrow. I will also try to make sure that my multi-stream does not go out to YouTube tomorrow. By the time you guys are reading this, by the time you guys are seeing this, it's going to already be the time afterwards. So I apologize, but this will be why there was no upload that day. Again, this doesn't take a whole lot of effort. If it does nothing, it also costs us nothing. So I don't see the problem with it in general. The biggest criticism you could give is that it doesn't do enough. But most things we engage in don't do enough anyway. Techno TJ says, if you want to participate, it's just as simple as doing nothing. Agreed. It's as simple as doing nothing. And if all I have to do is do nothing, then sure, I just will do nothing. That's very, very easy for me to engage in. That said, that's all I can really do in regards to that. I've done the research that I can on the Clippy thing, and you know what? We're gonna get that Clippy series with boobs, apparently. And now I see the protest thing, and I am scared for how Kayla's gonna have to actually edit this later. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll participate. Why not? All I lose is a day of revenue. And I'm gonna be honest, I've already weathered losing a fridge of frozen food. I can handle a day of revenue. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie-chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Curatorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it. Just a little bit.